Welcome to part 2 of how I edit audio within Final Cut, and this is a little more how I typically do things, and that is, you can see in the video I've got this mic which I'm recording this with as well. I've got that for my vocals, it's capturing my vocals. It's going to get a little bit of the guitar, and then my guitar is DI'd, so a jack from the guitar, it's running through my pedal board, and then it's running into the LiveTrak L8 mixer. So what happens is I record 2 channels on the LiveTrak. I record my vocals from this one mic, and I record my guitar through any effects, any looping I'm doing goes into its own channel. What it means is I can balance and mix those channels individually. I can apply different effects, and how I do this is I do it inside of Final Cut, but I set Final Cut up to work exactly like a DAW would, exactly like Logic or Pro Tools. So let's dive into how I do it, and hopefully, Chris, this answers your questions and gives you a little bit of insight into how I kind of balance my sound and get the sound I do for live performances or videos, I guess, because that's what you're seeing. Inside of Final Cut, what I do is I grab the section. You can see I recorded a bunch of stuff here. I grab the section of each track that I want. So I've got individual guitar, holding down Command, I've got the video, the vocal, the guitar, right click, and I create a new multicam clip. So this is a song called Love in an Instant. So let's name it that, multi. I use the audio for synchronization. I find this works really well, and that's why I like to have the camera recording audio. I know you can often turn it off, but it syncs, Final Cut syncs really well. Let's see if it does today. Awesome. Double click. This is my multi-track, and what it's done is it looks like it's lined up. If I put the audio on all 3 somewhere here, tiny bit of phasing, but that's pretty good. I'm just going to turn off the camera audio. It feels just subtly out of time, which is probably that phasing. So let's just dive in and see if we can fix that. Just a touch behind. So, okay, we're not going to be able to fix it in here. It snaps to what's the word I'm looking for? The frames rather than audio. So we can fix that later. Awesome, no worries. We will sort that out. Let's dive into now what I do in this multicam view. And that is, I'm going to add 2 more tracks. So add angle. I'm going to use the option to drag this down. Make sure you don't move it along, alright? Make sure that's at 0, 0. So this now untitled angle is Vox Reverb. So this is like a bus, a send bus in your DAW, and then we're going to add another angle, and again holding down option, drag this down 0, 0, and this is going to be guitar reverb. Let's go with that. This is, again, we're going to go through this reasonably quickly, but this is the basics of how I edit entirely within Final Cut. To start with, after I've created those 2 additional tracks, what I want to go through is I'm just going to go through and compress that vocal, get a nice tight full sound from that vocal. And I love the Waves plugins. This is now a mono signal. My vocal is just recorded 1 mic in, and let's just use, we're going to keep it simple, play a part where I'm singing, For a really good simple way to start, I'm just going to jump to the presets, lead vocal. One thing I am going to have to do with this level is bring it up. It's recorded probably a little bit on the soft side, and so let's just get that to a better overall level to edit with. When you do this as well, you'll realize that what I'm doing brings up a noise floor. No way around it. It's a lot cleaner than the noise floor of the previous version with just the camera audio, but now look up, you catch my eye, and for a minute I'm hypnotized in this. So if we click that off, that's just the vocal. Don't know what to do. I'm taking probably a little bit more than I want. Baby, it's true, I got it. So that's a ratio of 10. We're gonna drop that down. Love in an instant, that's where it lives here. Little moment. So it's working quite hard when I sing. I'm quite happy with that at the moment. We're gonna do the same thing with the guitar and just get a bit more relaxed. I'm gonna use the same Waves plugin, add it on there, raise the level, and I've clicked so it's just the audio of the guitar at the moment that I'm hearing. And if you're wondering why my computer's going slow, it's screen recording at the same time and it struggles a bit, as I found out in the last video. So, guitar's pretty soft at the moment. Again, let's just start with what's rhythm guitar? Let's see what it is as a preset. Okay, so a bit slower attack, so we get the start of those chords, not cutting anything off. For release, so it's really squashing some of those slaps. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's again just see where that ends up with our levels. This is, I don't want to do, in general I'll be quite relaxed about the compression here. I just want to get a reasonable level to work from. I don't want to squash anything too much, but depending on how it pans out, this is just an acoustic thing. Obviously I'm just sitting at home, and I can be pretty relaxed about just using some presets and being like, that's actually going to be a pretty reasonable sound. So the two of those together, what I then do, I play both of them. I want to get a rough mix between the two at this point. So just about to start singing. I see this light come, cat's got my tongue, it's like I'm 16. Vocal feels a little bit more present, so I'm just using the volume to get a sense of the balance between my vocal and guitar. I haven't played around with the reverb. I've got those tracks sitting there now. Typically at this stage I would EQ things as well, so if there's any odd parts of my voice coming out or not coming out, I would dive into that. And I should say at this point too, when I used to edit like this, I started out with a bunch of presets. I bought a bunch of plugins that had compression, had reverb, had a little delay, had some vocal stuff all set up. In fact, it's here. So it's a Waves plugin, and I really like both of them. They have some interesting issues where I don't use them a lot, but that used to be my default. JJP, I forget who he is. He's a producer, engineer of some sort. It was a full signal chain plugin, vocals and guitars, that if you don't want to go through all the details that I'm going through of doing your own compression, doing your own EQ, you'll get quite quick at getting a reasonable sound. But you can also, there's an amazing bunch of plugins that literally I could just copy this across, and I'll just load it up briefly for you. I know we've already got compression on there, but this literally, again, you've got an overall EQ, a de-esser, compression, you've got a sense of the, this is a reverb / delay ambience, space, attack, attitude, presence. So you've got a bunch of things that are all set up in a preset format if you just want to do something like that as well. Means you can get a pretty good sound without maybe having to know so much of what you're doing, but I digress. Let's now just quickly EQ both that vocal and the guitar, just if there's any parts that stand out that I don't want. And then we'll copy that stuff and dive into the reverb as well. So, EQ, channel EQ, vocals, and here all I'm looking for is anything that
Cat's got my tongue, it's like I'm
on the vocal
all over again. Got my t-shirt and favorite jeans on, but I still ain't got a clue.
So there's nothing crazy that sticks out.
Look up,
Maybe somewhere here.
catch my eye for a minute.
It's kind of
I'm hypnotized.
a muddy-ish sound. So let's just take a little bit of that out. I don't want to kill this area in my vocal. So I'm actually going to give a little bit more love to that. That's the bottom end that has it feel rich and full. But I can remove anything under here. It's just not really there. And just listening to it, I do feel I want a bit more top end.
Lazy Sunday, wind in my face, and sorry hair, I clothes all over the place.
Oops.
You touch my skin, my heart starts to race while I'm such a fool for you. 'Cause it's love in an instant.
Okay, happy with that. Same thing, guitar. Let's just go and see EQ, add that in.
Falling for you, well, love in an instant. That's where it lives in little moment.
I like to click this analyzer on just so I can see. It's not showing me anything. So I can see roughly any waveforms that stand out. But my computer's really struggling with screen recording this at the same time. Okay, we can do it.
T-shirt and favorite jeans on, but I still ain't got a clue.
So again, there's
Look up,
it's a similar area, to be honest. It's kind of a little bit lower,
I'm hypnotized in this
sort of
sweet moment, and you flickering
murky,
smile,
muddy
and
area
I
of the guitar.
don't know what to do. 'Cause it's love in an instant, baby, it's true.
And we're just gonna brighten it up a bit too.
Falling for you,
Okay, pretty happy with that. So let's let's move on. Otherwise you guys are like, oh my gosh, I'm watching a 4-hour tutorial on how to edit audio. And look, I realize as well, a bunch of you will be better audio engineers than I am. I'm totally okay with that. In fact, I'm very happy for you and that you have those skills. But for those of you that aren't, that this is useful for, these little tweaks can make a big difference if you're producing and putting out your own videos. So what I want to do is I'm going to copy Command and C on a Mac, Command Option V, and paste them to that reverb track. Same with guitar, Command C, copy that, Command Option V is going to paste that EQ and compression from the guitar. And now what we're going to do is we're going to turn the reverb on for the vocal, and let's just start there. In fact, again, plugins, I'm going to use the Sound Toys plugin. I really like this little plate reverb, so I'm going to use it. We're going to go in and let's use a preset this time. They've got some good things. Vocals, we'll start with 2 seconds, but I'm gonna shorten that a bit and see what we get. So I've added a reverb.
Still ain't got a clue.
Way too much, but
Look up, you catch my eye for a minute. I'm hypnotized and
yeah, it picks up a bit of the guitar too. And let's just add on for this one, I'm going to add it in the same thing. You could, if you wanted to separate things out, I could, in fact, let's do it just so you see. Add angle. I'm going to copy this vocal again. I don't normally do this, I keep it pretty simple, but let's go with Vox delay. So this just separates it out. And in here, I think everything's copied. I want to remove that little plate. The EQ and things are all the same. And we're going to add a delay. Now this will give me separate control over the reverb and delay levels. Let's keep it pretty simple. Spinning wheel of doom, of concentration from my Mac. Let's grab a vocal delay and let's just go with a classic little tape slap. So I'm going to turn the guitar off for a moment. So what we've got is I'm listening to the vocal and just the delay.
but I still ain't got a clue.
So a little delay there.
Look up, you catch my eye
And what I want to do,
I'm hypnotized in this sweet moment and your flickering smile.
so I like putting things in where
Don't know what to do.
you can't quite pick out that there's a delay. If you know it's there,
Baby, it's true, I got it.
you'll hear it, and if not, no worries. Let's turn on the reverb.
Love in an instant, that's where it lives here.
Which didn't seem to appear.
Smiling,
There we go.
don't know what to do. 'Cause it's love in an instant. Baby, it's true, I got it. That case.
The similar levels seem pretty good, to be honest there. And to be honest, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that same reverb, Command C, copy. We're going to come down to the guitar, and this time I'm going to go Command Shift V to paste it. What that does is going to bring up the effects that are there. I don't want the compression, I don't want the channel EQ, I don't want to change the volume, I just want that little plate with the same reverb settings. So now we're hearing all of these together. let's just get that reverb matched for the guitar, and we'll be good to go. Maybe.
I see this light come.
Alright.
It's got my tongue, it's like I'm 16 all over again.
It's a little bit slow screen recording and doing this at the same time. So now I will typically have a little bit more reverb on the guitar than a vocal in a setting like this. Why? Because I'm just in a room. There is some natural reverb and space that's already on that vocal. The guitar is DI. It's gone straight from that jack into my pedals, into the desk. There's no room sound really on it, although there is some bleed into this mic. But for them to sound like they're in the same space, I'm going to need a little bit more reverb on the guitar.
Look up, you catch my eye for a minute. I'm hypnotized in this.
Looking at it there, it feels like a little bit more reverb than I would normally use. But for the purposes of this video, let's now exit. And this was a previous version, so let's just drag this in. So here, as you can see, very different. This is where I touched up how it looks. So again, I'll copy that stuff across. Transform position, awesome, and we get a bit of a nicer look. But now what you need to do is, you'll see in this, we have gone back to, oh my gosh, we've just got the original audio from the camera. Stink. So what you need to do is come down here in the audio section, at audio configuration. You're going to drag this up if it's not visible, and then what we want to add is dialogue 1 was the camera audio. We don't want that. We want track 1. We want that reverb. We as we scroll down, we want the delay. We want the guitar, and we want the guitar's reverb as well. This would normally be a lot faster. Not screen recording for my laptop. I've said that too many times. But anyway, we've clicked all those, so they're now all on just the work that we did editing. And if we wait just a moment, the waveform will populate. There we go. What I like about this method in Final Cut is this is now my master track, and I can apply, if I want, and just let's say an overall compression to balance it together on the master track. It looks like it's reasonably balanced anyway. If it plays, there's a lot of...
16 all over again.
It's very glitchy.
But I still ain't got a clue. Look up.
Okay, so what it means is now I can cut this. That's obviously the end of the tune there. Somewhere there is the start of audio. In fact, I think we start there. Cool. And I can immediately hear that there's more reverb than I want on this. So all it takes for me to adjust this is double click this. I go back into the multicam view, and I'm just going to bring this reverb down. Somewhere there. Let's see what that's.
Good 'cause it's love in an instant. Baby, it's true.
Awesome. That will have flowed on to back to this main screen, and even though it's a little bit slow, this will populate, and now we have less reverb happening on that vocal.
Shirt and favorite jeans on, but I still ain't got a clue.
Now, what we can do at this point, and this will ease things on my computer processing power, because when it plays that, it's processing all of those reverbs and things, as well as the video, as well as its screen recording and things like that. So that is one of the advantages of doing things in a DAW. You can adjust things. It's not playing video at the same time, but as I said, I do like being able to hear the audio and look at the visual to make sure they match. But we can export this as actually the start was much more there. We can export this just as a WAV file. I can run it through iZotope. Again, this is a really great way if you're not used to mixing or getting a balanced sound. It's a really good way to see when it does what it thinks is the best EQ, is to go, oh, that's interesting, it took out a lot of the lows, or it added a lot of this, and pull it down and put it back up and see if you can hear what changed. And over time, as you mix, it becomes easier. And I'm not a pro by any stretch of the imagination, alright? So these are tools that you can use that hopefully make your life simpler, make things, give you a polished product. And for those of you that were just curious to see what I do, this is what I do. So let's do that with this one as well. Individual tracking. I've just got, if you want the settings on this, it's just the audio, a WAV file. And I'll delete it afterwards, but this is, I mean, it seems odd, right? I'm making a polished thing of me just sitting jamming out a tune, but I will put up the audio version of this as well, and it's the same thing that I do when I'm looping, all that sort of stuff. I get a pretty good sound originally. You don't want to, get the best sound you can to start with, but then any of these tweaks, I include the reverb, and I take out any weird EQ sections that are going on when I edit things afterwards. So just like you would at a live show, on your desk, you would tweak all those things. Individual tracking, we're back in iZotope Ozone 8, which always has that error report for me. And what you can see here, and this is the biggest thing that I find with Final Cut, when it outputs audio levels, it's not always great. So using the multicam option, it showed me that the levels seemed pretty reasonable, but as you can see here, they're quite low. So we're going to do the same thing. Master Assistant, I'm going to let it do its thing. Play the audio. You'll probably hear a little bit of it change through the speakers in the mic that this is picking up. But it's going to analyze, and it's going to tell us, okay, here's what you've done there. Here's what you've done that's really strange with the audio. But the best thing I like is I can see very clearly on this the output levels that are going to go with the video. By exporting the audio and bringing it back in, I now have here a really good output level that I can see, and I know it's accurate. Dear Final Cut. But let's see what we got. Okay, so EQ, it's gone awesome. Congratulations, you balanced everything nicely. That's nice. It's very what's the word? Validating for my mix. It's gone, taken a little bit off the bottom, a little bit off the top. Sure. Dynamics, again, it's set a bunch of essentially compressors to tame a few areas. There's a dynamic EQ that it processes, which basically means it's as a dynamic EQ, essentially, as I understand it, is that at certain points these frequencies pop out. Not all the time, but they jump out, and so it's just taming them when they skip over a certain level. Again, super nice thing to have. It's doing it all nicely automated, not something I have to worry about. And then this maximizer, because our level was pretty low, it's boosted it quite a bit. And what I'll do is I'll just export that, put it back into Final Cut so you can actually hear it coming through the system cleanly. So, File, Export Audio Files. We're going to change this to Master 24-bit. You can choose 24 or 16. It's really not gonna... Oh, already exists. No, I don't want to replace it. Cancel. I don't know if I pressed the right thing there. But master individuals. Alright, cool. So, I feel like these are turning into long videos. It's quite likely that they are. I have to edit the video yet. So that's exporting. I'll put it back in. I will share the end result of both. The benefit of doing things this way, I get to match the audio with what I'm seeing in real time, and I by recording individual channels, so the guitar on its own, the mic on its own, I can just check that those levels are balanced. Now, if you look at some of my old videos, I didn't do a good job of balancing things. My vocal is too loud in the mix at various times. I'm not going to mention which video in particular I'm thinking of, but there are a bunch of times where it's like, oh, it wasn't my best effort. But if you're like me, you're the guitarist, you're the singer, you're the sound engineer, you're doing the filming, you're editing the audio, you're doing all these things, and so some of these things I just really appreciate, because being able to put things into the likes of iZotope Ozone 8 and use a master assistant, use their little automated system just to go, are there any weird frequencies that I've totally missed? Yes, okay, awesome, done, thanks. And sometimes I'll change it, right? Like when it boosts the bass, I presume it's often thinking that this is a band track. There's nothing really in that bass frequency when I'm just playing acoustic guitar and singing, so I can just bring it down again. But also for levels, I know that it's going to set a really good output level. Just makes my life simpler, and I'm a fan of things that make life simpler. So, import media. We are going to import master individuals. Cool. Same story. We're going to drag this down, and now if you remember from the start of the video, this audio wasn't quite in sync anyway. So now this is the easiest. There's two ways to do this. If you want to export and re-import a new file like I've done, cool. If not, what you would do is you would duplicate this. So hold down Option, copy it, and what you're going to do is on the second one, we go back to audio configuration. You're going to click that camera audio, and you're going to click off the others. I just clicked the wrong thing. So you're going to click off track 1. Ooh. this is the fun of everything going slowly whilst I screen record for you. But you're going to click those off and click the camera audio on, and that's going to allow you to sync up these audio systems. You will have to detach the audio. So again, this is taking a while to create its waveform because my computer is thinking, but right click, you would detach the audio, and that will allow you to sync up the let's find a little peak there. Just take a bit off so it's got some room to move. Wait for the waveforms to get created. We're getting there, and you can see it's just a little bit early. If you remember that phasing issue we had at the start, that will allow you to line it back up so that, again, when you're watching the video, it all syncs up. It looks like it should be in time, essentially. So anyway, we're going to do that same process, but we're going to use this mastered audio, and that will stop my computer from having to think too much because it's not processing any of those bits and pieces. So let's just connect all those things. I don't need this, in fact, either of them. What I want to make sure is I'm syncing this to the camera audio, because if you recall, it was a little bit out. So yep, that's the camera audio, not the stuff that we mixed. Let's just boost its signal. It was super low on the camera, and what I'm looking for is a nice point, a nice peak in the audio when this waveform loads that I can match. Which, okay, right, it has loaded. We might go with that one, I think. So you can see at the moment it's just a little bit out of time, out of sync. But now, because this is a separate audio track, it's no longer linked to frames, and I can just move that. If we play them together, cool. That doesn't sound like a whole lot of phasing particularly, or not hugely noticeable. So I can totally bring down the audio of that. There's nothing on that. It's now just the audio that we imported, that master file.
I see this light coming.
Apart from the fact that my computer is struggling with screen recording this and playing it all at the same time, we should have a beautifully linked up video. I will post the result of this, so the recording also as another video linked somewhere here, so you can hear the difference. And I really hope this has given a bit of love and insight into what I do. I hope that you can take away some of these things and apply them for yourself, because that's, at the end of the day, I think a lot of this stuff, if you can use one little idea that improves your production, totally worth it. You might find another idea down the track that works totally better, or this might spark some new ideas that you come up with that work much, much better. But hopefully, hopefully it's given you some food for thought. And one last thing I should say, if you don't want to use, or you don't have the option to use mastering software and do something separately, you can just come in here once you've got that final audio. If we go back to this one, so this is our audio from the multi-track that has the voice, the vocal reverb, the delay, the guitar reverb, or in here, all happening. And you can apply a compression, an overall master compression on all of those to get that same level. And if we go to all, compressor. So there is a multi-band compressor within Mac, and if you have Logic, there's a compressor in there as well that you can apply just to add a polished. It's literally like that maximizer that we're basically allowing the lower level audio to still remain quite high, and some of the peaks we're just bringing them back towards those lower bits, so there's not such a difference, which means you'll be able to get a better overall output. But I realize I've talked for way too long, and I still have to edit this video, so to those of you still watching, thank you so much for tuning in, and yeah, I hope you got a lot of value out of this, whether you use it or whether you were just curious to see what I do. We'll see you in the next vid. Cheers everyone, see you later.